We all run and drive electric cars here at electrifying.com, and we've actually paid our own money for everything from a very old Nissan Leaf to a Jaguar I-Pace.
But usually when we test a car, we only have it for a week or sometimes even less. Now we cram a whole load of testing into that time. But if you want to really get to know a car, you have to spend a little bit more time with it because you want to do things like work out if it works really well on different types of chargers. You want to see how it copes with family life. You want to know exactly how long the battery will last in different types of weather. And one of the cars that we were particularly intrigued by was this. The Mazda MX-30. Now that is not because we particularly lusted after it, because frankly, some of the team, they kind of just didn't get it. But we've been driving this car for the past 6 months and we have shared it between the team. And here are their thoughts. So let's start with the good bits. Well, cost is obviously a factor because the MX-30 is priced at about the same level as a mini electric or something like a Honda E, but obviously it's a little bit bigger by about 12 inches. Now, if you've got a family or you often carry things, that obviously makes it more practical.
The boot is a decent size too, compared to the Mini and Honda at least. Editor Tom just managed to squeeze an eBay purchase sideboard in.
But we need to talk about doors. Now, they're obviously quite cool, and they are something that you'd want to show your mates, but they do feel slightly like a bit of a gimmick because, just like a three-door car, you still have to eject the person in the front passenger seat in order to get people out of the back. Also, when you look at it, you've got this seat belt for the front seat passenger attached to the inside of the rear door, and it just makes things feel slightly complicated. When you get them in there, this window, it does not open. And it is also a porthole. So the people in the back don't get much of a view. And to be honest, you wouldn't want to transport people that you actually liked. The thing is, after a little bit of trial and error, we did find out that for some people, these are more than just a novelty. Nikki, for instance, who has a small person in her life, found that when she was trying to get her child into the back seat, into a car seat in a tight car parking space, the MX-30's doors actually really helped. They were a lot easier than a conventional 5-door. So that's where the testing matters. It is actually a reasonable size in here too. And to be fair, in the back, once you've got people in there, there is enough space. Rumour has it that Ginny had half a rowing team in there, in this specific car. I'm not sure how she did that. But talking of space, come and look at this. There is enough space in this engine bay to basically smuggle a Ginny. Now, this isn't a frunk or a fruit, but there is enough gap in here to have a proper place to put things like cables or a bit of extra luggage. And looking under it, it just makes me feel like it's really badly packaged. I mean, look down here. There's acres.
Mazda says that the 35.5 kilowatt-hour pack in here is right-sized for this type of car. And keeping it small means the car is cheaper and lighter.
The trouble with that is it can really limit your range. Now in summer, driving pretty carefully, we've been getting around 120 miles out of the MX-30. But in winter, it drops well below 100. Now that could be okay for you. I mean, we've bombed around in town in this car and never really thought about the range, but it all depends what's right for your journeys. And if you're moving down a motorway rather than sort of nudging around in an urban environment, it does start to worry you because that 100 miles will disappear fast. And to add to that feeling of slight paranoia, the car starts to make warning bongs at about 25% of your capacity left and then gets really paranoid at 15%. So it's not the best car for people with a nervous disposition or major range anxiety.
Now, you can stop at a rapid charger, of course, and just top up the battery to get you home. But here's another frustration. Even on the fastest rapids, we've only been seeing around 30 kilowatts being taken on. That's less than half the speed of the Hyundai Kona and means you'll spend twice the amount of time waiting for the charge. And then you'll eat more cake.
One of my slightly stupid gripes with the MX-30 is this. It's the charging flap. I mean, look at that. It's enormous. It's like another door. If this car is parked on the street, then pedestrians have to cross the road to get past it. But anyway, come with me inside and I'll show you a few things that I really do like. Now, I do actually like this cork trim. It feels nice to the touch, it looks quite funky, and it's actually a lot nicer than some of the black, hard, scratchy plastics you get in some cars in this price range. It is also a tiny tribute to Mazda's history, because the company actually started out making corks. Yeah, they did. And you will thank me for that, because it will end up as a pub quiz question at some point in your life. Probably. What is less cool is actually this gear selector. Now, I don't mind a traditional auto gear selector, but one thing we have noticed, and this has come from the team, is that if you forget to put it in park after you finish driving, when you start it back up again, if it's not in park, you have to switch the car off, power it all down, put it into park, and then restart. It's a tiny thing, but it is a bit annoying. Now, the screens and the tech in here is all pretty good, especially for this price level, and it all works pretty well. Mostly, though I have found that I just tend to plug in my phone and use Apple CarPlay. There's also this weird thing going on where the car will make random bongs. We've worked out that it's not a speed warning, it's not lane departure, there doesn't seem to be any apparent reason for the car making these noises, and it can be a little bit irritating. It's the phantom bonger.
If anyone out there has any idea what our random bong is, please do let us know in the comments.
One thing I would say about this little air conditioning and ventilation screen is that there is very little lag when you press the screen. Now, that sounds odd to say that I'm impressed that something works, but you don't get that in a Volkswagen.
Now, there is someone else who likes being in the Mazda, or rather on it. Spiders. There are so many nooks and crannies that it seems to be a breeding ground for them. You could say, it's a popular website. Yeah. Okay, I'll stop with the bad jokes. But talking about websites, head over to electrifying.com for our reviews of all things, including this MX-30.
You see, the thing is, I quite like this. I think it feels lighter than a lot of electric cars. It's got a really good turning circle. And I think if you could make it suit your lifestyle, if you don't need big range, if you don't want to spend loads of money and you need a little bit of space, the MX-30 actually makes sense. Its best aspects are quite specific. Basically, if this car suits you, it'll suit you really well, but it doesn't suit many people. So what has life been like with the Mazda MX-30? Well, the team has had a chat, and we have decided that if you live in a city, if you have kids and you don't do that many miles, and crucially, you can charge easily at home, then it could work. And that's if you find a Mini Electric a little bit too small or a Kia e-Niro a little bit too big. And you like cork, and you have a bit of a thing for spiders. We don't judge.